Augusta National, April 2023. Jon Rahm has just won the Masters. And hours later, away from the cameras, someone hands him a photo on a phone. A photoshopped image of himself shaking hands with a golfer who died 12 years earlier. And Rahm breaks down crying. The man in that photo never saw Jon Rahm swing a club. He never got the chance. So why did a picture of him hit Rahm harder than almost anything else that week? That man in the picture was Seve Ballesteros, and by the time this video is over, you'll understand exactly why his name still evokes this emotion in people. Let's start with someone who had every reason not to be generous about it. Nick Faldo and Seve were rivals for over a decade, the kind of rivals who genuinely wanted to beat each other, which is exactly why what Faldo says carries weight.
I was at Bay Hill, and I'm on the putting green, and he's in the bunker green, and the crowd's getting bigger, and they're oohing and ahhing, so I go over and have a look, and because he's in there, he's got a 3-iron. He's hitting bunker shots with a 3-iron. So I thought, well, I'll try that. So I go back, and I practice it for a couple of weeks, and then whatever, another week or two on, we played a practice round at the Players together, and there was that little famous, horrible little bunker on front right of 18. And we walk, he said, okay, Nick, we have a bunker competition. I said, sure. He says, okay, Nick, we choose a 3-iron. I said, sure, no problem at all. Okay, Nick, you go first. I said, okay, sure. So I go, poof, knock it out, pretty good, or whatever, 10, 12 feet. He goes, okay, Nick, pretty good. And he gets in there and he goes, poof, and this thing goes, makes it zip to about 4 feet. I said, all right, I'll go and work on that. So that was, we used to have fun little things like that. That was Seve's gift.
And it wasn't just a practice round party trick. Faldo describes watching Seve pull off that same shot for real, under pressure, in Belgium, using a 3-iron to bounce the ball off the bunker lip and land it 3 feet from the pin. A shot most players wouldn't attempt with a wedge, let alone a 3-iron.
The other great thing was his improvisation. Now, I played with him in Belgium, moons ago. He missed the 9th green to the left. He had a bunker in front of him, the pin, and he came out with the sandwich that day, and he hit a shot, and honest, the ball came in, went, and stopped like that. And I went, whoa, that's different. Of course, to 2 feet. Next day, same place, pins again on the left, bunker in the way. Now he's got a bad eye. He took a 3-iron, whacked it into the bunker, it shot out the lip, across, boof, to 3 feet. That was Seve.
That's the thing about Seve's genius. It was never just that he could do the impossible. It's that watching him try to do it was the whole show. And that's really the whole story of Seve Ballesteros in short. 5 major championships, a game built on shots most players wouldn't dare attempt, and a habit of hitting from parking lots and bushes and buggy paths and still making it look inevitable. He didn't just play golf, he challenged it, and mostly won. Butch Harmon, who's coached more major champions than almost anyone alive, calls Seve the most entertaining champion he ever watched. Not just for the trophies, but for what it felt like standing near him. The charisma, the presence, the sense that something great was about to happen every time he stood over a shot.
To me, the most fun to watch of any great champion I've ever seen. I used to think Arnold was when I was younger, because Arnold was pretty wild and he'd hit these shots from everywhere. But Seve was beyond belief. I mean, he was like an artist. If you put him in trouble, he'd hit these miraculous shots. You put him in the middle of the fairway, he's liable to miss the right bunker. But you put him in trouble where he didn't have to think about the mechanics of what he was trying to do, and he just hit the most gorgeous shots. Short game, unbelievable. I mean, very handsy in the way he did everything. He had whatever it is, Seve had it. I mean, if he walked into a restaurant at night with that blue cashmere sweater thrown over his shoulder and standing tall, and everybody in the place stopped and looked at him, you go watch him play, and he hit the ball pretty far too. People don't realize Seve got it out there pretty.
Even Jack Nicklaus, the most decorated golfer who ever lived, talks about Seve less like a rival and more like a fan. He said this about Seve's game: "You always knew you were going to be entertained." But it wasn't all admiration. Some players didn't just respect Seve, they feared him. 1991 Ryder Cup, Seve was paired with Jose Maria Olazabal against Paul Azinger and Chip Beck. Midway through the match, Seve noticed something. The Americans were playing balls of different compressions on different holes, which broke an agreement between the two team captains. Seve called it out immediately. Azinger eventually admitted it, but only once it was clear there'd be no penalty. Seve never let it go. Afterward, he had one line for the entire American team. The Americans were 11 nice guys and Paul Azinger. Decades later, when Azinger talks about that rivalry now, there's no bitterness left in it, just respect for what he was up against. Seve was the dragon we had to slay, he has said. But once you zoom out far enough, the rivalries and the bunker tricks start to matter less what Seve actually built. Before him, the European Tour was an afterthought. The Ryder Cup was a formality America won on autopilot. Seve helped change both. He became the driving force behind turning European golf into something the rest of the world had to take seriously. Arnold Palmer, the man who'd done exactly that for American golf a generation earlier, recognized it instantly. He said, "He was probably the main man, the greatest contributor to the European golf scene." And Nick Price, a three-time major champion in his own right, reached for the biggest comparison available to make the same point. He did for European golf what Tiger Woods did for worldwide golf. Coming from two men whose own careers weren't shaped by Seve at all, that's not sentiment. That's just an honest read on how much the sport actually shifted because of him. But the deepest proof of what Seve meant isn't in the trophies or even the tributes from rivals. It's in what he handed down. Olazabal was still a teenager, barely known outside Spain, when Seve first took notice of him. Seve personally pushed for him to be selected for his first Ryder Cup, a real risk on an unproven rookie. Olazabal remembers their chemistry being instant and remembers Seve becoming something closer to an older brother than a teammate. That partnership went on to become the most successful pairing in Ryder Cup history.
When he gave me the news, I was over the moon. But I think that, to be honest, I think he really didn't know what to do with me, and it was a good thing that Seve jumped in and talked to him and said that he was ready to play with me, I think.
If that guy gets playing good, we are in trouble.
The first time I met Seve, I was 17 years old, and the chemistry was there from the very first moment. He was like a big brother, my mentor, and that made me feel kind of relaxed being on his side. Seve was very eager to prove the US players that we were good enough. Winning every single point, every match was extremely important for him.
A generation later, it was Sergio Garcia calling Seve his idol and mentor, the player who made a kid from a small Spanish town believe he could compete with anyone in the world.
Growing up, obviously Seve and Jose Maria, they were my idols, and they helped me so much. You know, when I was in my late teens and early 20s, and even in my early 30s.
And then there's the one that might say the most about how far Seve's reach went. Tiger Woods, a player who came up through an entirely different tradition, with no real reason to owe Seve anything, still talks about a lesson Seve gave him on chipping.
He was trying to teach me how to make the ball roll straight every single time. And then you would choose to make it roll right or left, but the ball should roll every time like a putt, no matter what shot you're hitting, no matter how high you're hitting it.
Okay.
Which kind of freaked me out in my head.
Yeah, I'm like, my mind's kind of
like,
thinking about that really hard right now.
How do you hit a high with making it roll like dead straight like a putt? Just to figure it out. Okay.
So you almost...
Which brings us back to where we started, except now you understand why that picture hit so hard for Jon Rahm. Rory McIlroy wasn't even a teenager when Seve played his last competitive round. And yet, when McIlroy matched Seve's record of European Tour Order of Merit titles, he couldn't get through the interview without getting emotional. He talks about what Seve still means to European golf, how his quotes and his image still hang in the European team room today.
Yeah, it's really cool. I think everyone knows what Seve means to European golf, to Ryder Cup players. So, you know, European Ryder Cup locker room, all we have are quotes of Seve. We had a changing room with Seve's shirt from '95, the last Ryder Cup he played. He means so much to European golf, and for me to be mentioned in the same breath, I'm very proud.
That's the room Jon Rahm walked into as a rookie. That's the atmosphere he grew up chasing. So when he finally won his first Masters, on April 9th, Seve's birthday, and the exact anniversary of Seve's second green jacket, Rahm said, "This one was for Seve. He was up there helping, and help he did." Seve Ballesteros never met Jon Rahm, never saw Rory McIlroy swing a club, never watched Sergio Garcia grow from that kid at the ropes into a major champion. And yet all three of them talk about him like he was standing right next to them the whole time. Maybe that's Seve's most impressive shot, because more than a decade after he played his last round, he's still somehow in the room. Still somehow the reason grown men cry on the biggest day of their careers.